For literally centuries, people have dreamt of a shortcut across the top of the world. This fabled northern passage that could link Europe and Asia and just slash global shipping times. Well, with the Arctic ice melting, that dream is getting closer and closer to reality. But the big question is this new route a total game-changing superhighway, or is it just a frozen mirage?
And this map right here, it shows you the promise in a single glance. That bottom route, that's the one we all know, the long haul through the Suez Canal. But look at that line across the top. That's the Northern Sea Route, the NSR, and it's a massive shortcut right across the Russian Arctic. The potential savings in just time and distance are, well, they're huge.
I mean, to put it really simply, it's the long way around versus the shortcut through the ice. And for shipping companies where every single day, every hour is money, this is an incredibly appealing idea. So that brings us to the key question we're looking at today. Is this legendary shortcut finally becoming a real, viable option for global trade?
Now, while this idea isn't exactly new, there's been a recent surge in activity that's making everybody take a fresh look. And leading the charge, two major players, China and Russia. And they aren't just talking about it, they are actively out there, sailing it.
Let's just look at the numbers for a second. In 2023, ships operated by China made 7 voyages along this northern sea route. The very next year, that number jumped up to 11. And by 2025, they hit a new record, 14 completed voyages. You see this steady, year-over-year increase, and it tells you one thing. Their confidence in this Arctic corridor is growing, fast. But here's the thing. China is not doing this alone. Not by a long shot. This whole expansion is happening with critical, absolutely essential support from Russia. We're talking about Russia's state-owned Rosatomflot and its one-of-a-kind fleet of nuclear-powered icebreakers. They're the ones keeping the path clear, making this record container traffic even possible. It's a real strategic partnership in action. So, you've got China and Russia charging ahead, full steam. You'd think everyone else would be scrambling to get in on the action, right? Well, not exactly. The major Western shipping lines, they are conspicuously absent from this Arctic boom. And you've got to ask yourself, why? And their position couldn't be more clear. This quote, which pretty much sums up the stance of industry giants like Maersk, is a powerful dose of reality. Even with all the successful voyages and the shorter distance, they are publicly and repeatedly saying, thanks, but no thanks. Now, their hesitation isn't just some whim. It's based on some very serious practical concerns. First, the fragile Arctic environment is a huge factor. But then there are the massive operational risks. There's hardly any infrastructure up there. The weather is wildly unpredictable. The sailing season can change completely from one year to the next. And good luck getting insurance for that. For today's just-in-time global supply chains, that level of uncertainty is an absolute deal breaker. All of this brings us to the one question that matters most in any business. Does it actually make financial sense? Even with the shorter distance, does the Northern Sea Route really save you money once you factor in, well, everything else? To answer that, we really need to understand what feasibility means in this context. See, it's not just about drawing a shorter line on a map. For a route to be truly viable, you have to look at the whole picture. The hard costs, the infrastructure or lack thereof, the risks, and the market itself. This table here, it captures that economic tug-of-war perfectly. On one side, the savings look great, right? You burn less fuel, you don't have to pay those hefty Suez Canal tolls, and the trip is shorter. But then you look at the other column, and that's where the cold reality sinks in. You need special, expensive ice-class ships. You have to pay fees for those Russian icebreaker escorts. Your insurance premiums go through the roof, and the lack of infrastructure adds a whole other layer of cost and risk. So what's the verdict? Well, a major feasibility study pretty much concluded that, for now, the route is only economically viable under a perfect storm of conditions. You need favorable markets, the right kind of cargo, and perfect weather. For the kind of reliable, year-round service that modern container shipping absolutely depends on, it's just not there. Not yet. Okay, but wait a minute. If the economics are so shaky, why are Russia and China pushing so hard? That kind of suggests there might be something more going on here than just shipping containers. It forces us to zoom out and look at the bigger geopolitical picture. So let's just ask the question directly. Is this really just about optimizing supply chains and shaving a few days off a sea voyage? Or is there a much, much bigger game being played here with all this billion-dollar Arctic investment. And this is where the deeper strategy comes into view. For countries like Russia and China, the Northern Sea Route is a strategic insurance policy. It's an alternative to the traditional routes that pass through really volatile geopolitical chokepoints, like the Suez Canal. It's about creating options and securing trade routes that are under their own influence.
And that leaves us with one final, provocative thought to chew on. As the ice keeps melting, what is the Northern Sea Route truly becoming? Is it just a new superhighway for global commerce promising speed and efficiency? Or are we watching the opening of an entirely new arena for strategic global competition at the very top of the world? The answer to that question will likely shape geopolitics for the rest of the 21st century.